Tundra Twister is the world's only Mondial Avalanche. This is a giant flat ride at Canada's Wonderland. It looks really exciting off-ride, almost like a perpetual motion machine. But this ride's mostly bark and very little bite. I will explain why in this review. Canada's Wonderland is arguably the greatest flat ride collection in North America. They have a lot of wacky and rare models, several of which are high thrill rides, and quite a few of those have been produced by Mondial. So the addition of Tundra Twister fit right in. This was the first Mondial Avalanche. This is a massive pendulum ride where the gondolas can twist and turn. This ride's mesmerizing to watch with all those axes of rotation. If you've seen Iron Man 2, this ride reminds me of the swinging sticks on Pepper's desk. The brown color palette fits right in with the Yukon Canada section of the park. It also helps there are some theming elements by the entrance as well. Then this ride also gets darn close to Yukon Striker, so there are some cool near-miss moments both on and off ride. While this ride interacts heavily with Yukon Striker, Tundra Twister's entrance is not quite next to the dive coaster. It is on the lower pathway in the back section of Yukon Canada. This is across from the Splashworks water park entrance. This somewhat hidden location relative to the rest of the amusement park may contribute to this ride's relatively short waits. My two most recent visits were on well-attended weekends, and this ride was never more than a one-cycle wait. So this is a great option if you want to get on something fast midday. If the line ever backs up, it is included in the park's paid fast lane skip-the-line system though. It certainly helps this ride's reasonably good capacity for a flat ride. The ride can accommodate a max of 40 riders per cycle. There are 2 gondolas sprouting from the center arm. Then each gondola has 2 rows of 10 seats where guests sit back to back. You are assigned a row, but seating is then on a first-come basis. I think the edge seats furthest from the ride center offer a slightly better ride experience because your motion will be slightly more exaggerated. But it's not a deal breaker if you can't sit there. Once seated, riders are secured by bulky over-the-shoulder restraints. These are similar to the harnesses found in most of the park's other major Mondial flats. You don't have much arm space, but outside of that, they're fine for me. Now, I teased at the start that this ride's more bark than bite. It is my understanding the cycle is impacted heavily by the weight distribution, so I intentionally tried this attraction with 2 different load profiles. My first 2 rides were midday with every single seat filled. My third ride was towards the end of the day when only a quarter of the seats were occupied. However, all 3 rides felt identical to me. None of them flipped, at least for me, which is a real buzzkill given how it looks like this could be one of the world's craziest flats. I've heard the occasional report of someone getting a wilder than the usual cycle on Tundra Twister, but it seems to be exceedingly rare. The attraction begins with the arms slowly rocking back and forth. At the same time, the gondolas slowly spin 360 degrees, and they can also rock back and forth. After a few passes, the arm starts performing full revolutions. But it's never gravity-driven, as you move at a controlled speed all throughout. It is much slower than you'd expect for a ride of this scale. For me, it felt like one of those slower spins towards the starter end of a booster's cycle. No notable positive nor negative Gs, but you spin just enough to get a smidge of weightlessness over the top on a few revolutions. And it's still fast enough to offer a refreshing breeze throughout. There were 2 things this ride did particularly well though. First, the rocking was very unpredictable, particularly because of how rare it was. Most revolutions just offer a gentle sway, but there were 1 or 2 moments where I'd get a surprising and semi-violent rock. This definitely caught me off guard with the rest of the cycle being so mild. Second and more notably, the views are excellent. You get a grand view overlooking the park while at the top. Then the funky angles induced by the rotation are enjoyable, particularly as you get so close to Yukon Striker. The overall cycle is roughly 1.5 minutes in duration. It felt a tad short, especially with all those warm-up and cool-down swings, but it's understandable the park wanted to pump as many people as possible through this attraction. So what would I rate Tundra Twister? I would give this ride a 5 out of 10. For me, this is an underwhelming ride based off of what I wanted, but it's still a fun experience. The sheer size and different axes of motion result in some nice visuals. Then the ride's pinches of thrill elements mixed in. They are just sporadic. Again, I know the action is supposedly weight driven, but the extreme moments and cycles seem super rare from what I can gather. I think this model has a lot of potential, and I would love to see one operated with a more thrilling program. It is possible that Canada's Wonderland intentionally dialed the cycle back to minimize nausea. This would not be the first time they did this. Just look at soaring timbers in the same park. This is a Mondial Inferno that never inverts, and it's a pretty lackluster experience. But I rode the exact same model on the German fair circuit. There, it was much wilder and went upside down several times. Tundra Twister is still worth a spin while at Canada's Wonderland, given its uniqueness and relatively short waits. Just go in with tempered expectations. This is basically a small dog trapped in a Great Dane's body. Big and intimidating, but relatively mild, with the occasional outburst. Those are my thoughts on Tundra Twister, the world's only Mondial Avalanche. What are your thoughts on this ride? Have you gotten a better cycle than me? Or have your experiences been similar? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.